Thank you, Shyama, David, Sundara, for all that you shared. And good morning to you all. Buongiorno. Hola, privyet, namaskar. My name is Nayaswami Dharmarajan, and my wife Dharmini and I lead the center in Chennai, which is in South India. And we're very grateful to be here with you all today. It's really a joyful day. It's also, I think, as you all know, Sister Gyanamata's birthday, an added blessing to our anniversary here. Another aspect of Dwapara Yuga is, sorry? Okay. There's many aspects of Dwapara Yuga. The one actually I was thinking of was the bringing together of East and West. And the key phrase, the key word in that is bringing together. Not so much East and West, of course, what they have to offer one another, but in Dwapara Yuga we will see the world as one place, East and West all together. It's partly because in Dwapara Yuga you banish the illusion of space. And so we may even find ourselves on other planets. And so then what does it matter whether you're the east or the west of this one? Many planets to the east of us and many... So I wanted to share some of the things that we learned when presenting these teachings in India, that many of us who were in India sharing and still are, discovered about our own path. You could say some of the things that India taught us. I have to check that my little timer is going here. Good. One thing that I did early on in making this discovery, Haridas Ji and I were offering corporate workshops, and when we would do our sales pitch, we would be very careful in our language, because India's corporate culture is an international and inter-religious or non-religious corporate culture, and there's one word you can't mention, and you can guess what word that is: God. And so we were very carefully and presenting our what these workshops offer. My gosh, has it been off this whole time before now? Wow. You've been so polite. Okay. That may explain some of the facial expressions I was seeing too. I thought, is it that bad? Okay. All right. Well, so we were presenting our sales pitch for these corporate workshops in terms of stress management and in terms of more active energy production and output and so on, and how this meditation will center you and help you to be more creative in your problem solving and so on. And the man listened very politely, and at the end he said, but this is basically to raise the kundalini up the sushumna, yes? When we visited another, this was a international wireless network, cell phone provider. We went to visit them. We were supposed to see the director of HR, and when we went to see him, he said, no, the CEO wants to meet you. And we were dressed in business suits and ties, playing the part. We joked we were sheep in wolves' clothing. And we went to see the CEO, and when Haridas extended his hand, his sleeve slipped up and his bangle showed, and the CEO said, oh, I see you're wearing the astrological bangle. I don't know how many CEOs you've met, but this was the first and last one that I ever met that knew the bangle. I mean, what else was there to say? I mean, let's just chant Om. And So, in fact, it was difficult in the beginning for me to understand how could we present ourselves, because in America we could say, if someone asked us, what do you do? We could say, well, I do yoga. But in India, yoga was so common. So I do yoga too. So many people do yoga. It wasn't that we were trying to differentiate ourselves, but we were trying to explain what it was we were offering. It would sort of be like opening a restaurant and they say, what do you offer? Oh, we serve food. So we had to explain, well, a little more. So we could say, well, I meditate. Well, a lot of people meditate. Well, in America, I could say I have a guru, and usually I'd lost people by now. And in India, well, I have a guru too. So many people have gurus. And of course, this is becoming true in America and Europe as well. And then it was, well, we live in an ashram. Well, there are many ashrams in India. So how could we explain exactly what we were doing? And a marketing consultant who was working with us on our website just said very clearly, Autobiography of a Yogi is your brand. He said, everybody knows that book. They may not have read the book, but their uncle has the book, or they've seen the book. They might not even know Yogananda Ji's name, but they know Autobiography of a Yogi. So that is your brand. And so another person explained it. She said, I wanted to learn the teachings from you all because you are the people. You are the people of the book. And so we knew then how to present ourselves, that we were children of Autobiography of a Yogi, of Paramahansa Yogananda, Swami Kriyananda. And so another thing you might then, that we learned from India was devotion. This was around the discipleship ceremony. In the discipleship ceremony, as I'm sure most of you are familiar, nearly all, it says to bring a flower. And so I and many like me reading this, and okay, very good, flower. And so to the discipleship ceremony, we brought a flower. Now, in India, it's a little different. It says the same thing, bring a flower, and yet people come in with so many flowers, and that's discipleship. For Kriya, forget about it. And why? Because how can my devotion be expressed by one flower? How can I, on the day that I'm making this lifetime commitment and connection with my guru, can I offer him one flower only? It's beautiful. And Jyotishji wrote about this in his blog, and others have talked about it. It really helped us. Why? Hold back. So it was a great education for us. You might ask then, well, why? What do they need us for if they have all of this going already? Well, what people have told us is a number of things. First, the technique. I know what I'm supposed to do, I know why I'm supposed to do it, but how? This is in fact what yoga is on the spiritual path. It's the how. And so many people have said, yes, we were told to meditate, but when we asked how, they said, you meditate. And so taking us through step by step, guiding us and so on is extremely helpful. Another thing people have shared is your own experience, that you all have been doing this for some time, and so it's helpful to connect with that, to be able to answer our questions, to be able to see the fruits of, okay, well, this seems to be working for you, maybe it will work for me. There was another thing, though, that was a little more subtle, which was that I heard that in one of our centers, somebody was giving a class and talking about the yamas and the niyamas, and everyone says, yes, nama, niyama, we know, but still, people were asking different questions. How can I practice this yama? How can I develop that niyama? And the teacher said, listen, you can focus on all that, and it's good, especially if it inspires you, but if not, just meditate. And if you meditate, you will automatically develop all of these qualities. And I thought that's a pretty convincing answer, and I think that's true. But then after the class, one of the friends of this teacher came up and said, is that really true, though? Because I was meditating for 10 years, and I was not developing in any of these qualities automatically. And, we're not our own best judge, of course, and all of that. But putting that aside, I had to think about that. And I remembered something that Swami Kriyananda had written in A New Dispensation, which is in the Handbook for Discipleship now. And he said, I have seen people coming to this path, coming to this way, meditating and growing spiritually out of all proportion to the time they have spent meditating. And he said that is the grace of our gurus, that is the grace of Yogananda Ji in this line of masters. That is the hidden, secret ingredient. Another time he described that grace as the good feeling people have after they leave Ananda. And so that was very immediate for me, because that I felt and feel all the time, and that's grace. Now, the thing that we learned most of all in India, though, was people's appreciation for Swami Kriyanandaji. There was a cameraman filming him, and many of you have seen those shows on YouTube, the Way to Awakening shows. And they were on a spiritual channel that had many spiritual teachers. And the cameraman filming was very quiet. It's good to be if you're a cameraman. But afterwards, he told one of our members, he said, I have filmed so many spiritual teachers, and I have seen them on camera and off camera. And he said, I have never seen anyone like Swami Kriyanandaji. And this was what people's experience was of Swamiji. They flocked to him. And another thing that we learned was how everyone would run and touch his feet. And it was with great devotion and great reverence and very sincere. We saw also a mother, prostrate herself, touch Swamiji's feet, take his blessing, and then stand up and then turn to her son and say, hey, take blessing. And we saw there was a practical side to it too, that look, get some vitamin C and study for your exam, take the blessing, it'll help. And so there was something else, though, that we encountered. This was a question often put to us when we would give classes in discipleship. We would train people and prepare them for discipleship to Yoganandaji and this line of gurus. And they were very open to Master. Some people recently were telling us, because Babaji is very well known in Chennai, and they would say, I've come to this path for Babaji. I saw the movie of Rajnikant, I want Babaji. You all are Babaji people, I want Babaji. And it's wonderful, I want Babaji too. But we were wondering, how do we sort of, because, well, anyway, I'll just tell the story. So one of the people said, now as I'm taking discipleship and I'm meditating and I pray to Babaji, Yoganandaji's face appears. Why? And I thought, well, if they're working it out, then there's nothing we have to worry about. But another one explained it. He said, I felt before my devotion to Babaji, it was more abstract. It wasn't from my own experience. But through you all, I have experienced Yoganandaji. But the question people asked us over and over again was, you always bring up, how do we relate to the Guru when he's not in the body? And Swamiji's right there. And no matter how many times we tried to explain it, they kept asking the same question. Now, somebody put it a different way. When Swamiji was asked to dedicate a temple that was not only dedicated by him, but somehow it sounded like they were saying it was dedicated to him, he couldn't go to the dedication. This was in South India, and he had just arrived in Italy, having been in India. He said, I can't really come back. I have a whole program here. But why not Dharmadas and Nirmala go in my stead? And they replied, they wrote their reply that we're sorry we can't have Kriyanandaji, but we will accept his disciples. And finally, again, this is how it's explained in India. Someone was asking the members of our center, someone was asking one of our center assistants, so the teachers here, they were all direct disciples of Yoganandaji. And he said, no, they're not direct disciples, but they're direct disciple of a direct disciple. So I just want to close on a personal note, thanking you all, thanking everyone here, and especially it's a joy to be in this Temple of Light, because this Temple of Light has been conceived of for about 50 years. We didn't have a space at Ananda Village that was built as a temple, certainly at the old retreat, but our temples had basically been buildings that had been built for another purpose and then turned into temples, and this building was built as a temple. And it didn't take us 50 years to figure out we needed that. It was that every time the money, the energy grew that might produce the temple, it went to spread the work. One time in particular, in 2003, energy was ramping up to build the temple. I think Swamiji may have broken ground then, or maybe it was at another time. And then he went to India. And so all energy, people, resources went to India. Daviji said, I think Ananda India is a gift of Master's children in the West to his children in the East. Not only, of course, in terms of money, energy, personnel, but also in Italy, they gave the greatest gift of all, Swamiji himself, because he was there for 7 years, and then he went to India. And so that is one reason why this celebration has been so late in coming, you could say. There was another reason why we had to wait, and that's because we weren't all here yet. And so it's a joy for us all to be celebrating together. And as many of us as have come 50 years ago or just coming in today, this is the first time we're doing this all together for everyone. And so it's so wonderful to be united in this spirit. So thank you, Master. Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you all. Happy anniversary.